What if you had to design a society completely from scratch? But here's the catch. You have absolutely no idea who you would be in it. Would you be rich or poor, powerful or powerless? Well, that's the revolutionary question at the very heart of John Rawls' masterpiece, A Theory of Justice. So today, we're going to break down his powerful thought experiment for building a truly fair world. To really get why Rawls was so groundbreaking, we first have to look at what came before him. See, for a long time, the big idea in political philosophy was something called utilitarianism. But Rawls saw a huge, glaring problem with its core logic.
I mean, really think about that for a second. Is it ever okay to sacrifice the rights or the happiness of a few people if it makes a much larger group of people happier? This is the exact dilemma that just didn't sit right with Rawls.
On the surface, utilitarianism sounds pretty good, right? The greatest good for the greatest number. What's not to love? But Rawls pointed out a really dangerous flaw. This way of thinking could justify some truly terrible things, like slavery or exploitation, as long as the majority came out on top. For Rawls, that was a non-starter. He believed some individual rights just had to be non-negotiable.
So, to figure out a better way, Rawls came up with this brilliant thought experiment. He asked, what principles of justice would we all agree on if we could just design our society from a totally neutral, totally unbiased starting point?
He called this starting point the original position. Just picture it. A group of smart, rational people get together to write the rulebook, the social contract for a brand new society they're all about to join. But here's the genius twist. This is the part that changes everything. To make sure the rules they create are truly, genuinely fair, Rawls added one crucial condition to his experiment. He called it the veil of ignorance.
The veil of ignorance is the secret sauce here. It's a simple but incredibly powerful rule. While you're designing this new society, you're temporarily clueless about who you will be. You don't know your class, your race, your talents. You're basically stripped of every personal bias you could possibly have.
So imagine, you don't know your race, you don't know your gender, you have no idea if you'll be born into a wealthy family or a poor one. Will you be athletic or disabled, religious or atheist? You know absolutely nothing about your place in this new world. And this is where the magic happens. Since you don't know who you'll be, you're forced to pick rules that are fair to everybody. You wouldn't risk creating an oppressive system because, hey, you might just end up being one of the people who gets oppressed. Your own self-interest suddenly makes you think about what's best for the whole group.
Okay, so what kind of society actually comes out of this experiment? Rawls argued that any rational person thinking from behind the veil of ignorance would inevitably agree on two fundamental principles of justice.
That's it. Just two core principles that would become the bedrock of this new, fair society. The first one is the liberty principle. This is simple and absolute. Everybody gets an equal claim to the most basic rights and freedoms you can think of. Freedom of speech, of conscience, the right to vote. These liberties are sacred. You can't trade them away for anything, not even for more money.
The second principle, the difference principle, is where it gets really interesting. This one tackles inequality. Rawls knew that a society might need some inequality to work, so he came up with a test. Economic and social inequalities are allowed, but, and this is a huge but, only if they work to the greatest benefit of the least advantaged person in society. So think of it like this. A doctor can earn more than a janitor, but only if that system of higher pay encourages people to become doctors, which leads to better healthcare for everyone, including that janitor. As you can imagine, this radical theory had a massive impact. It completely reshaped the modern debate on justice, fairness, and rights. The shift in thinking was just profound. You see, where utilitarianism was all about maximizing overall happiness, even if it meant a few people got hurt, Rawls put justice and fairness front and center. He argued that every single person has rights that cannot be violated, and that we have to treat each other as ends in ourselves, never just as a means to an end. Now, of course, no theory is perfect. Critics say Rawls is maybe a little too idealistic, asking us to ignore our very human biases. Some on the left argue that his difference principle still ends up justifying capitalist inequality instead of getting rid of it. Others point out that his focus on individual rights is a very Western way of looking at things, and that the theory kind of overlooks injustices that happen in private, like inside a family. But despite all the critiques, the core message is still incredibly powerful. This quote really says it all. Each person possesses an inviolability founded on justice that even the welfare of society as a whole cannot override. For Rawls, justice isn't about the greater good.
It's about the sacred, unbreakable worth of every single one of us. And that's a theory that continues to challenge all of us to imagine what a truly fair world could actually look like.